Hello, book lovers, and welcome to Book Talk Radio Club. My name is Claire Harris, and today I'm talking to author Owen Jones. Losing My Addiction is a memoir told through the eyes of someone who lived with alcoholism for decades but eventually cut free the addiction for a better life. This book offers new perspectives and questions some of the fundamental beliefs we have about ourselves and how we're travelling through life. The gentle understanding and optimism that flows through the book will give you the confidence and evidence that addiction doesn't need to be the master of your life, and you too can break free. Whether you're thinking about giving up, or indeed you've never even considered giving up alcohol, this book is highly recommended as a companion during the tough moments and a reminder that there are far happier times on the other side. Hello Owen, first of all welcome, and thank you for coming to talk to me on Book Talk Radio Club.
Thanks very much, Claire. Great to be here.
My pleasure. So Owen, why did you decide to write the book Losing My Addiction?
Well, after I'd stopped drinking back in September 2019, I initially started writing a bit of a blog, kind of to get some feelings down on paper, and I thought then it was worth starting to share a few things. So I set up a little website and put some blogs on there and a little Facebook page, and I was just sort of tinkering around with that for a little while. But what then happened was that it was the September that I quit drinking, and that was just before all this madness over the last couple of years with us being locked down and what have you came along.
Sure.
And I'm very glad that I quit drinking by then, because I don't know where I may have ended up had I still been drinking in March 2020.
I can understand.
But that kind of gave me an opportunity, because being stuck at home working, I wasn't commuting, and so I actually ended up having quite a bit of time available. I wasn't spending 2.5 hours a day in the car going backwards and forwards from Northampton to Swindon. And I basically it was almost that the website and the Facebook page needed to be something bigger. And I was forming these ideas in my head, and the opportunity arose. The time presented itself. And I thought, well, you know what? I've got a lot of stuff to draw on from my life and my research, as they call it, both drinking research and trying to work out how to quit research. But I really ought to share this, because I've found a way out of something horrible, and there are plenty of people looking for a way out.
Absolutely.
Well, maybe my way out could help. And so Losing My Addiction was born. It wasn't called that then. I had no idea what it was going to be. That's kind of, the opportunity arose, and there was already the germ of an idea, and the two came together.
It must have been painful to write your story, or did you actually find it cathartic?
I think drinking was painful. Waking up at 5 in the morning for a year and a half to write it was occasionally quite painful. But you know what? Going back over my life, and there were so many, oddly enough, there were very many times where drinking had been fun, but it turned messy. So I kind of went through everything. I think probably the most painful thing about writing it was the fact that in November, after I'd started, I lost it all. I was pretty stupid at not taking a backup.
Oh.
It was gone, and I had to start from scratch. So that was the painful bit of writing the story. Cathartic, I'm not so sure about. I actually really enjoyed the process of writing and setting myself a target each day of working through it. Yes, it certainly helped me stay off the drink for the first few months, I think. And now, you know that it's done, I kind of miss the process of doing it. And you can't do this sort of thing you can't do again. So I think the painful stuff was done beforehand in the preparation for the book, in terms of getting to a position where I had to stop, and then deciding to do more than just stopping, putting my thoughts and experiences down on paper.
Part of the book blurb says this is a book that will take you on a journey of acceptance that lasted far too long before it was rejected. Tell me what you mean by that, please.
Um, Once a boozer, always a boozer. I think the journey of acceptance was, right, I'm stuck. There's no way out.
Yeah.
And for so many times I would wake up, and I remember starting thinking in my 20s, when am I going to feel normal again? When am I going to stop feeling sick and tired and drained and lifeless? And that went on and on. And I just kind of went, well, that's going to be my lot. And I guess I kind of resigned myself to that. I was too lazy to do anything about it for a lot of the time, for a long time. The other acceptance was, if you accept something, you don't have to think about it, and you don't have to dwell on it. So you're not going. So I didn't. It was almost that the acceptance was a form of denial. I think that I had a problem.
Yeah.
This is just me. This is just me.
No, it's not. I'll tell you why. Because in the next question I'm going to say this as well, but I smoked for years and years and years, and I always said to myself, oh, well, once a smoker, always a smoker. And that was my way of justifying to myself that if I smoked, carried on smoking, well, it's just because I can't help myself. So I totally get what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that's kind of what that phrase means. And yeah, like yourself, I was a heavy smoker for many years and stopped. And I thought that the way I stopped smoking would be what would help me stop drinking. I stopped the Alan Carr method for smoking. It was fantastic, but absolutely useless for drinking. And it's in here in the book, because one of the key things on the stop smoking Alan Carr's easy way is all to do with taste. You smoke because of the drug nicotine.
Yeah.
You drink because of the drug alcohol. The argument against smoking is that the carrier of nicotine, smoke, tastes disgusting. I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah.
However, the carrier for alcohol, a nice margarita or a pina colada or whatever, actually tastes bloody good.
Exactly.
And nobody's going to deny that, because they do.
Exactly.
It's what happens after that's the problem. And so I really struggled with that. And so that, yes, two addictions, two different things, but really needing a different way through. And I cover that in quite a bit of depth and detail in part of the book, as to ways in which we all get into an addiction one way, and we all get out of it one way, and that one way is our way.
Exactly.
And I hope in sort of here in here that I cover lots of options and present, yes, a personal view on it. People may look at parts of it and think, oh, he's an idiot. It's nothing like that. Well, it was for me. And actually, if you think that, I'm not too bothered. Have a look, accept it, reject it, move on. You'll find something in there that will help, I'm sure.
The book blurb goes on to say, near-death experiences on trunk roads didn't stop this committed alcoholic from drinking even more. Isn't it incredible how that didn't even stop you drinking? I can relate to it in a way, as I used to be, as I said, quite a heavy smoker for many years. And despite having a collapsed lung, and then a few years later pleurisy, it still didn't stop me. It's crazy. So what was it that finally made you see sense, as it were?
I'm glad you sent me this question in advance of this chat here, because I've had a really good think about this one. And what's bizarre is the thing that eventually got me to stop was the self-same thing that started me in the first place.
That's interesting.
And that's fear.
Right.
When I was a fearful child. I was painfully shy. I wouldn't say boo to a goose. I couldn't make friends. If I was in a group, I was hopeless. One-to-one with people, I was okay. And that fear led me to seek an identity.
Yeah.
And that identity was in a group, and that group was a drinker.
Right.
Drinking group. Now, when you're in that drinking group, you don't actually have to be with other people to be part of the group. Because you're a drinker. So you're part of the community, and that really helps. And it helps of situations and of life itself.
Mm.
Now, fast forward many years, okay, I did wake up, come to on the A34, and wonder what the heck I was doing there, walking down the middle of the dual carriageway at 2 in the morning.
Oh,
Not
God.
too clever. But I was in such a state the next day that to get over it and feel better, get rid of the shakes and the hangover, the first thing I did was go to the pub. So no, it didn't stop me. What actually did in the end stop me again was fear. And this time it was the fear coming through the realization that everything would be lost if I carried on.
Mm.
I would have no children. Well, they'd have children, but my life. I would have no wife. I'd have no children. I'd have no job. I'd have no house. I wouldn't have anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that put the fear of God in me.
I can imagine.
And a gentle conversation in a pub after a bender made me realise where I was heading.
Right.
And the chap I was speaking to, I can't remember what he said, because I was in such a state, but that fear turned into The Quit, which is what the book's going to be called, The Quit. But that's what happened. Fear got me drinking because I couldn't cope with life. Fear stopped me drinking because I realised that I wouldn't actually have a life if I carried on. So an odd one, but the same thing at both ends of my drinking career.
Losing My Addiction is filled with reminiscences, personal anecdotes, advice and cautions for those questioning their relationship with alcohol. Owen, would you like to share one of those reminiscences and anecdotes with us?
Probably one that actually a similar question was asked at the book launch. Was what was the favourite bit of writing the book? And the reminiscence anecdote I'd share is a day I had at Lord's watching cricket with my brother.
Uh-huh.
It was a day that we would go on every year. It started when I was much younger with some friends before alcoholism came into my life. And every year we go to Lord's. But as I got older, it became more and more about drinking and less about cricket.
Right.
And on this final occasion, and I can't even remember who was playing. Obviously at Lord's, it was a test match. It was England against someone, but I can't remember. I arrived at the ground hungover. Actually, I arrived at the ground drunk because I left home in the morning in Northampton to get the train hungover, and had a couple of cans on the train to settle myself down before getting to Lord's. My brother, unbeknownst to me, had also been out on the beers the night before, and so we were both a bit shaky. By 11 o'clock, the first bottle of champagne was opened. By 12 o'clock, we were on our second bottle of white wine.
Wow.
And the day basically declined rapidly from there on. But at one point, the place we were sitting was above a stairwell. So we had a great view, no heads in front of us. But I recall kicking a bottle and it rolling over the little lip in front of us, falling down into the stairwell and whacking one of the ground stewards on the head.
Oh my God.
Now I kind of laugh now. Not quite so funny because the champagne bottle's quite heavy.
Sure.
They are heavy, and when they whack somebody on the head, it's gonna hurt.
They're gonna feel it.
Yeah, he's gonna feel it. And he knew we'd had a few. He sort of looked at us, tut-tutted, and carried on. I thought, whoa, how did you manage that? A little bit later, same day, my brother, and he won't mind me saying this, went off. I think he just nipped off to get the loo or something, but got lost on his way back. And somehow or other, he ended up walking onto the pitch. How he got there, I have no idea. it's like, how on earth did two sensible, well-educated, middle-aged blokes get into such a state that you're dropping bottles on officials, you're walking on the hallowed turf, the home of cricket. Yeah, it was just absolutely nuts what we got up to. And I have no idea how I managed to get on the tube and on the train and back home that night. I just don't remember it. So it's really odd that sort of day was all pretty typical, where we'd have great fun, but who knew where it was going to go?
Yeah.
But that was a fun day. That wasn't I must stop drinking day. That was probably shouldn't have quite as many day.
Yeah, I see that.
That you don't know what they're going to turn. But you don't know what they're going to turn into when you start. That's the problem.
The book is an essential guide for everyone looking to create a way of quitting that is right for them and gaining the true gift that is sobriety. A way of quitting that's right for them. That's a very good point. One size doesn't fit all, does it, when it comes to quitting an addiction?
No, not at all. Not at all. There are, and I spent quite a bit of time in Alcoholics Anonymous, and many members, quite rightly, believe and understand and live by the fact that it works for them. And you know what? It does. And that absolutely fantastic. But for me, it helped. For some, it doesn't at all. And I think that's the same for many methods. There's hypnotherapy, there's hypnosis, there's Alan Carr as the method, there's you can go to rehab of all the different sorts, or get people to come to your house for rehab. But as I said a little bit earlier on, we all get into drinking for very personal reasons, and they're all very, very different for each and every one of us. Equally, our route out, I certainly believe our route out is exactly the same, individual for each and every one of us. And so, as you say, the book's an essential guide for everyone. It's a guide in terms of it giving my view of all the options that I've looked at, some pros and cons in each of those, so that whoever's reading it, wanting to quit or considering it, can have a think and a look with some evidence around the pros and cons of each, and build their own way of getting to the point where we're happy to say, that's it, no more for me.
And I think it's also, you can only give up when you're ready to. It doesn't matter how, as a smoker, my mum used to say to me, oh, can't you stop? And then this one would say, oh, it was disgusting. And you know all this, but you can only stop when you're actually ready to stop. You know that you know what's going to happen, you know the consequences, but you can't do it until you're ready to do it. It's as simple as that.
Oh, absolutely. And trying to before then is absolutely pointless.
And soul destroying.
And all it ended up doing is putting you in such a position. You think, oh, stop this, I'll have a drink.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and when you're in that position, you're fighting. If you're trying to stop that way, or if I tried to stop that way, I was forever trying to do something I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And there's only ever going to be one winner in that situation.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's not the quit; it's the drink.
Exactly.
Or the drug, or the alcohol, or the nicotine, or whatever it is that you're trying to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about you. As a middle-aged dad of two beautiful daughters, you say on your website, Drunk Dad to Dry Dad, I have a pretty good life. I've been happily married for over 25 years, have a great house, decent job, car and all that. Yet throughout the past 30 years I have lived a life of drunkenness and selfishness. How did your addiction affect your wife and daughters?
Let me give you an example. My wife has some family that's based in the States,
Right.
and they very, very rarely come to the UK. I think it was 20 years since she'd seen them.
Right.
And they're over for a weekend about how long ago? It's about 10 or 12 years ago. They were over for a weekend only,
Right.
and therefore she wanted to see them. So she headed off down to Essex, where she's from, where her parents were, where this American family were going to visit for a bit. So she headed off down there, leaving me in charge of the kids. So Ellen was out of the way. The kids were around some friends. They were going to come back here and have a sleepover. So I hit the bottle. I got into such a state that my younger daughter, who was probably 5 or 6 at the time, phoned my wife in Essex to say, "Dad's in a state, can you come home?"
Yeah.
So she'd seen this part of the family for maybe an hour.
Right.
We'd come back from the States and had to say, "Listen, guys, I'm afraid I can't stick around. I've got to go back home to look after my children because my husband is not capable." That was one of the ways in which my drinking affected my wife and daughters.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, but when I was drinking, they were scared of me at times. They didn't know what was going to happen next.
Well, sure.
I was moody. I could get angry. I was spending time and money on me and not doing fun things with the family. I'd go to the park with a hangover and go, "Please, do I have to enjoy myself?" What? Yes, that's what life's about. But no, not then. That's what the addiction did to me.
I bet they're pretty proud of you now you no longer drink to excess or at all, for that matter.
Yeah, it's great. It's absolutely brilliant. Just this week on Wednesday, my older daughter came back to Northampton from university down in Hampshire, and the two of us drove off to Birmingham to a gig and had a fantastic time. And we loved it. And it was just dad and daughter having fun together.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And that's I guess they're proud.
I'm sure they
I think they're just bloody well relieved that it's all over. More to the point.
I understand, as you say, you had numerous failed attempts to kick the booze, and of course they all failed. Why was that? Why did you fail at those attempts and then were able to give up with, as you say, no willpower? Because most people believe that giving up an addiction, you need willpower. Why didn't you need willpower?
It goes back to what you were saying before, doesn't it? That until you're ready, it won't work. I was at a school a couple of days ago giving a little bit of talk about this as well. And the way I described it was I asked one of the kids, would you like to go home and eat your sofa? And she said, "What?" So I asked another one, "Would you like to go home and eat your sofa?" They were looking at me, "What is this guy talking about?" I said, "No." No, I think about it. Do you want to eat? Have you ever had a desire to eat your sofa? Like, no, that'd be stupid. Of course not. I said, right. I have now no desire to have a drink. It doesn't cross my mind. I do not need to put any effort into not eating a drink, not having a drink. You don't have to think about not eating your sofa because you're not going to do it. It doesn't cross your mind to eat your sofa. Now I've got myself into a position where it doesn't cross my mind to have a drink. I don't need willpower not to have a drink, just as those guys didn't need to exercise willpower not to eat their sofa. I've it's now, if I need willpower to do something, I've got a battle going on.
Yeah.
I've got what I describe as a civil war in my own mind going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got half of my mind saying, have a drink, the other half, willpower, saying, don't have a drink. Now, the thing with willpower is it does wear out, it gets tired.
Yeah.
And it wears out and gets tired when you most need it at the end of the day. Because during the course of the day, you're using willpower, you're using your mental energy to do all sorts of stuff. Evening comes, you want a drink, there's no willpower left. Oh, bugger. I'm a bit stuck. So, to me, willpower is a no-no. I haven't got any. And I've worked my way through the various bits of research and understanding and retraining my brain sort of doing a turn it off and turn it back on again kind of thing, a reset, that I personally now don't need willpower not to drink, because I have no desire to drink, so I don't need to push against that desire with anything. Much like those kids in that school that I was talking to a couple of days ago don't need to push against the desire to eat their sofa, because they never had one and never will have one and never even crossed their mind. And that's kind of where I've got, and therefore don't need it to stay away.
You have a blog on your website, Drunk Dad to Dry Dad. I noticed one of the posts is titled Alcoholic, Not Me. So are we talking denial here, or how we tend to see alcoholics generally as derelicts, that you didn't want to label yourself as such?
Yeah, I'm not a brown paper bagger kipping on park benches and staggering around the place with draggled hair and dirty clothes and stinking to high heaven. I go to work, I've got as I said, I've got a good car. I wear, if we did still, wear suits to work. I work at a professional organisation dealing with bright people with big budgets and stuff. I'm not an alcoholic. I can't be. I'm not a down and out mess. I enjoy a drink, and occasionally it goes too far, but no, I'm not one of them. I'm not like that. That's an alcoholic. No. We come in all shapes and sizes. And alcohol doesn't choose its victims on any differently. Alcohol is a drug. It's an addictive drug, and if you take enough of an addictive drug, you will become an addict.
Yeah.
It's not a personality defect. It's not that you have an addictive personality. It's not that you're wired differently or physiologically different. I've still got 2 lungs, a heart, 2 kidneys, arms and legs like the rest of the human world. And like the rest of the human world, if this body takes on enough of an addictive substance, it will become addicted, and it did.
Yeah.
So I didn't see myself as an alcoholic because I believed early on that alcoholics were tramps, down and outs. Not functioning people.
The subtitle of that blog is Honesty is the Best Policy. With yourself, I assume, as well as those nearest and dearest to you.
It has to be with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's because unless and until you are 100% honest with yourself, about yourself and your life, and what you're doing, you can't be with anybody else. If there is a bit of dishonesty in you,
absolutely,
that will play out and dominate what you do with other people.
How do you see yourself now, Owen?
It's almost how I feel now.
All right, how do you feel now then?
I feel alive and energetic, and I look forward to life. I'm full of boundless energy. I'm always up and about and doing stuff and wanting to achieve things. I've never been one to sit still, really, but now I'm doing stuff that's of use and of value and of fun. And I've set up a boot camp, and I've got 20, 30 clients, and we have a great time 3 or 4 times a week. I'm working on that. My day job is going all right. It pays the bills. I used to stress about it and drink on it, and now it's just one of those things I do. But I'm able to participate.
Right.
I'm part of the world now. I was, as the book said, I kind of was detached for many, many years, and now I'm attached.
Good. Back briefly to Losing My Addiction. You're already receiving great reviews for the book. I'm going to read one of them out. Honest and inspiring, this is a book about grit, perseverance and overcoming obstacles. Losing My Addiction is an honest, inspiring and moving account of a lifelong battle with alcohol dependency. Written in a witty style comparable to Dry by Augustine Burroughs, this book will make you laugh as well as reflect on your own relationship with alcohol. I would strongly recommend it for anyone who wishes to begin their journey towards sobriety or knows someone who is ready to take their first steps. Congratulations, Owen, but tell me, do you find greater satisfaction from the sales or reviews?
It's the reviews, most certainly. And the most unexpected review came a couple of weeks ago. I was having coffee with my daughters in a local cafe, and there was somebody I knew was in there who came up to me and mentioned, and she's a recovering alcoholic, which I didn't know,
Right.
and mentioned that she'd been in a meeting in a Northampton group of recovering alcoholics, or a rehab group or what have you, and my name and my book had been brought up in that meeting as something that people ought to get hold of and read.
Oh, wonderful.
Now, I had no idea about this whatsoever. So somebody who's recognised me came over and said, "We've heard about you, we've read it, we've recommended it, it's great." I was like, that's not a review, that's not a sale, that's actually what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, well,
that was amazing.
That's brilliant. So where can Book Talk Radio Club's listeners purchase Losing My Addiction?
You can get it on my website, which is www.drunkdadtodrydad.com, and there's a little buy button in there. It's drunkdadtodrydad.com, and it's also on Amazon as a paperback and Kindle ebook.
All right.
That's where it can be found.
All right, well, thank you, Owen. That was absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for talking to us about your book and experience, and thank you, everyone, for listening to Book Talk Radio Club. Lovely to speak to you, Owen.
Thank you very much, Claire. It's been a pleasure.
All right, bye now.